So this is not a guided meditation video. I don't enjoy those videos. I think listening to people speak when I'm trying to meditate would make meditating the way I do it at least impossible. So I just wanted to explain physically how I meditate because I know a lot of people struggle with that sort of thing. I struggled with it for a really long time because most techniques that people showed to me just didn't work for me and were extremely uncomfortable, and I couldn't get myself to sit still for that long doing it like that. So this is just what works for me. Obviously, everybody can do it in a million different ways, so I'm not saying that it's like the right way or whatever, but this is what I do. So I start same way, sit crisscross applesauce, and this is how I pray too. I consider like praying, meditating the same exact thing, but just in case you care about the semantics of it, this is the same motion that I would do like when I'm praying. So I sit like this. It doesn't have to be like any particular spot. Usually I like to be facing the light, but I mean you could do it at night in the dark too. It doesn't really make a difference, but the feeling of light hitting my face feels good when my eyes are closed, so that's my personal preference. Then I always have open palms because I feel like it's easier to feel, I don't know, the flow of energy, or I say God's will, but go like moving through you. Like I've never understood how people pray like with this. That feels like it's like closing me off from that. But if you keep open palms, I feel like that's the easiest way, and just relax your hands. Like obviously you have to hold them upright, but like relaxed open palms. I usually just rest them like on my legs. Doesn't have to be. I mean, like if I'm sitting at a table, I do this sometimes too. Like when I'm praying, when I'm stressed out, I don't know, like at my desk or something in my room, I'll like pray like this still. But I just rest them however I feel comfortable, and then I try, like when you're sitting in silence, to focus on. I mentioned this in the intro to video, but like focus on where your thoughts are coming from and hold on to that like core piece inside of you, like not in your mind, well, like not in your head physically, your mind space, like that plane of thought, not your head, and it's not like in your heart, but it's like in your core. Like get into that place and try to hold on to that. And I also usually notice, especially when I really first started trying to meditate, that obviously I just say that this is like an example of the inherent suffering that they talk about like in Buddhism and Hinduism and stuff, but that the feeling of stillness with being alive, I call that the inherent suffering. Like feeling your heartbeat and focusing on that, yeah, that's really unpleasant. And that's why I think focusing on your breathing, focusing on your heartbeat, for me that's counterintuitive because it is uncomfortable. Even just trying to get past that to get into your like actual soul or whatever, it's still going to be unpleasant. You're still going to feel your heartbeat really strongly. You're still going to feel the blood moving through your veins, and it's very uncomfortable. That feeling took a long time for me to get over because I feel like making peace with like the feeling of just being alive is difficult. So that is a roadblock that probably will come up. That, especially because I have ADHD, is probably the hardest part of all of this, just getting past your physical sensations that you have to sit with. But anyway, it's not even the mind stuff for me. Like that I can shut off pretty easily, but obviously the other obstacle is thoughts will come up. So for me, that's why I like to keep my eyes closed, just because it cuts off as much stimuli as possible. A lot of people like to look at something. Doesn't really make a difference. Whatever helps you to get your thoughts to turn off. And sometimes for me, I think of like one, not even necessarily a word or phrase, but like one conceptual thought, like one, like I don't have a mind's eye, so not imagery. Like I don't see images in my mind at all. Like if you try to summon an apple or whatever those memes, like I can't do that. I can't picture anything in my head like that. So I don't know how you guys like feel your conceptual thoughts about an apple or something like that. But if you keep something like that in your mind, for me it's just like the when I close my eyes, it's like being a blind person in real life. I can simulate all the other sensations in my mind. So like if I think of an apple, it's just the same as like holding an apple with my eyes closed. So I don't know, but I think of like something like water or like wind, and like it's easier if you're outside too, because then you can focus on something real like that, like the feeling of the breeze. just to get your thoughts to turn off, and then sit like that for as long as you can stand it. And then when you're able to do that more often, nothing magnificent will happen at first, probably. I mean, if it does, that's great. But at first, you're probably not actually in that plane of thought as much as you'd like to be, because a lot of times you are just sitting like in your physical body and trying to overcome those things. So once you can get in the practice of doing that just for a couple minutes, like every single day, because the consistency is the more important than the longevity of each individual session. So like if you're sitting down for an hour and uncomfortable the whole time, that's not going to do anything. There's no reason to force yourself to not meditate pretending to be meditating. That doesn't actually do anything. But the consistency of trying to get into that practice and the willingness and the open-mindedness and whatever, that is more important. So if you just try for a couple minutes every day, getting that far, that's the first step. Then you should be able to feel that discomfort lighten, and it gets easier to actually stay in that plane of thought. And when I'm there, something also, I guess, once you're in this point, but also focusing on this imagery might help get you to this point faster. So sometimes, either when I'm having a really difficult time disconnecting from my physical and my thoughts, or if I'm in that place and I don't know, maybe I'm like in that plane of thought, but there's a lot of crazy stuff happening around me, something that keeps me grounded. I even do this with my eyes open, like not even just meditating, but like sometimes when I'm really like starting to disassociate or something because I'm stressed out or overstimulated, just this like mental practice of physical calm helps me a lot with this kind of thing. And it's trying to imagine, like doing like a body scan, but trying to feel your bones, which is like not entirely possible, but obviously to some degree you can sense where your bones are, your skeleton. Like, obviously you don't feel that all the time because that would be crazy overwhelming, but to take me out of the funk and like bring me into my physical body in a peaceful way, I start with my fingertips and I just like trace them like in my mind, like try to actually be my skeleton and imagine the bones in my hand as intricately as I can, and then I imagine my arms, and then I either let go of that or hold on to it depending on how well I was able to bring myself into that. And then I do the same thing with my toes. I imagine like the tips of my toes all the way through my legs, and then I try to imagine both at the same time, my arms and legs in their entirety at the same time. And then I feel like that's being grounded for me, because when I can sense my arms and legs at the same time, then I feel like a real person, and then I can like sit in that and be okay. So once you're in that place, complete stillness, you're calm, you've learned how to not be uncomfortable with just being alive in this vacuum space, then usually I just try to, I feel willpower, like I said in the intro video, physically feel it. I sense it moving through me the same as like blood in my veins, but it feels different. It feels like I said, subtle peace. So like I try to feel that. I focus on where my thoughts are coming from, feel that like indefinite point in you, like the core piece, the soul piece, and then I start to notice that feeling coming through me. Like I feel the energy of like that plane of thought moving through me, and that's the intuition that I was talking about in the intro video. So like I can feel that, and when I just let that wash over me, like it'll either bring me calm, bring me some sort of sense of something that I need to do. I can talk to it, like, when I get in that state of meditation, I can, then I can go into my thoughts. Like once I have the calm, I feel like thinking too much about what I would want to say before I have that is useless. But once I have that calm, I can have a conversation, and I can say, something I'm worried about, like I need to confess something that I need advice about, and then I can get that conversation with my higher power, that sense, and either come to a solution, get like an inkling of somewhere that I should go, something that I should do, or ultimately just feel at peace with something that I might need to accept that there's nothing that I can do. That happens a lot too. So the serenity, I guess that's the main thing. That's physically what I do. It literally, I'll just do like a couple seconds of showing you how it looks for me, but I literally just sit like this for like 20 minutes at least every day. So, I mean, I hope that helps someone.